All righty. Well, hello, everybody. Thank you for attending to tonight's 2023 Fall Run Walk in Training program at especially our workshops that we have throughout the years. I know basically this is the last week of the training program, so big round of applause for those 13 weeks that you've been training and being involved. It's great that you are still continuing with this, even in this type of weather that we're having. So, thank you for being here. Today's presentation, we'll be happy to have Tim Verdon Lindon, one of our Sport Med BC members. He is going to be doing a little session with you all about Go Fix Yourself. So basically, it's basically runner specific stretches and self massages techniques for common injuries from the lower torso, since we use a majority of that in the running. Something to be a little bit aware of is that Tillman is a registered massage therapist since 1981. And one big thing that he really accomplished during his life was when he was 9 years old, he ran his first marathon. So a lot of you out there are, trying to train for a marathon or going up to it. So Tillman has a really understanding and idea what performance is and how to recover. So thank you, Tillman, for being here today and giving our participants a little bit of a lowdown what they need to do after or before their event of training. So I'll give you the floor over to you, Tillman. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Hey, welcome everybody to Go Fix Yourself. This is going to be a little talk on common running injuries and how to fix them with self-massage and stretching. So first of all, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the foot. When you're dealing with horses and people are running, you always have to look at the foot first. So let's take a look at the foot. If your shoe looks like this, it's done. Get a new shoe, okay? The reason being that, and you can test it out on yourselves now, actually, while you're sitting there, is if you feel, take off your shoe if you're wearing your shoe, and if you feel that your toes are not making contact with the floor, then you have some tight muscles in the foot, and they're going to lead to some issues with the foot. And it can be plantar fasciitis, or it can be a tendonitis, or worse, it can be actually a drop in the actual foot arch. Now, there's two arches in the foot. One is the transverse arch, which is through the ball of the foot, and the other one is the longitudinal arch here, or actually the long arch. And that can drop if you've got flat feet. But I want to talk about this one here, the transverse arch, because it's a little bit more common. And it is because of old shoes. If you're running in old shoes, then the footbed here has collapsed usually, and you can put your hand into your shoe and feel how deep that little hollow is underneath the ball of your foot. And if you think it's really, really soft there, or really thin already, then it'd be time to change your shoe. Okay, what has happened to me, I just finished the Chicago Marathon in October. In my training cycle this year, or this summer, I had a problem with the bottom of my foot, and that's why I'm so keen on that. Okay, so what happened here is I was running on an old shoe, and I switched it up to this was the shoe that I was running in. It was Brooks, and went to the store, and their Brooks have changed the whole style of the shoe. Now it's more of a trail shoe. Not happy with it, but that's another story. So I went to my racing flats, which are 361s, and I like them because it's a closed pour sole instead of an open pour sole, and the open pour sole will absorb water, whereas the closed pour won't. That's just all my brief on shoes right there. Okay, so if you've got an issue with the bottom of your foot, and it's the plantar fascia, if you can feel it, it's on the bottom of the foot here. If you're sitting at home, you can do that easily enough. You take your hand, make a little curl, a hook with it, and just apply gentle pressure here. The best is to start out the heel portion and then progress up in segments up the foot towards the toe, okay? Now, just gentle pressure against those muscles is fine. You don't need to go and rake them really. It's not necessary, but prolonged pressure is really good. Now, if you get a satisfying dull ache while you're doing it, then you know, there's probably some irritation in the sole of the foot. And what you're doing with the compression is you're actually squeezing out the fluid out of the tissues there. If you want, when your tissues inflame, it usually is like a sponge that absorbs the water. So you want to compress the tissues a little bit to force the water back out. That's how, as basically as it is, to compress those tissues to get rid of the excess fluids in the tissues so that they're not as painful. Because if there is fluid in the tissues there, then it'll be painful, obviously. So just gently hold and apply direct pressure or pressure against the tendons. You'll find that there is some tension there, and that's how you would massage the bottom of the foot. Not a lot of people know how to do that. They're either on a roller, rolling it, but here you'll be able to work the tissues really specifically. And in the long run, let's say if you're watching television and you've got a program for half an hour, it's not common or not uncommon that you're going to be massaging the whole foot for 20 minutes. So that's what I do when I do my stretching sessions. They're 3 hours long. I get up a little bit earlier in the morning, but my legs and my feet feel awesome afterwards. All right, so now let's talk about the arch here. Now, what's happening here is if you've got hammer toes, then you're going to be, the toes will be all curled up here, and you're going to be landing on the ball of the foot here. And that's probably not that comfortable for a runner, obviously. So if you can't make contact with the floor with your toes, then you also have to look at the extensor tendons here that run up the foot here. And if they're up high like that, then you're going to have to bend the toes down like that. And you'll find good stretch here on the foot and on the leg. And if that is not enough for you, you can really bend then a couple of toes. And if that isn't enough for you, if you need more pressure, then by all means use the floor. And that means then by curling the toes and then controlling the heel and then rolling the foot gently one way or the other. And if you feel a tension running up the lower leg here through the peroneal muscles and the anterior tibialis muscle. Now, what I'm feeling here is a spasm happening in the foot here while I'm doing this. And so I know that my areas here in the foot are not quite well enough yet. And so that's the adductor hallucis, anyways, so what I'm looking for is splaying the foot. If you can splay the toes out like that, that's great. If you can't, then obviously on one side, the muscles are going to be a little bit tighter. If you have a bunion, now bunions might not be running injuries, but they can definitely limit your ability to run. And so if you have a bunion, pointing out like that, what I would like you to do is take your thumb and finger and massage in between the two toes, the big toe and the second toe, and get right in there. And if you can't move, if the toe is stuck and can't move to the side like that, then there's an issue with this side of the joint. But if it can move like that, back and forth, you're golden. But if you can't, then these muscles here in the middle have taken over a little bit and are keeping this toe from coming out to the side. So if that happens and you don't do anything about it, eventually the toe will start to curl over or under the other one. Usually it's under. But if you can correct that, what what you can do is you can, if you want to correct that, just massage in between the two toes here. And oftentimes you might even get a release at the joint here, and you'll think, oh, something happened there. It's almost all better. So that's how to correct a bunion if you've got one that's just starting. My theory is bunions form from people who've stubbed their toes. And obviously it's trauma enough to cause a maladjustment in that joint. And oftentimes, what do people do? They just walk it off. And that's fair game, you know. It'll be there for as long as you want, and or don't want. You can go to a chiropractor or to a therapist and have that fixed. Or you can try it yourself with the thumb and finger and just work those small little those muscles in between the toes, just like that. Very, very easy. Huh? Just like that. All right. So progressing up the foot. Okay. Now we've covered the plantar fascia, bunion, and also the toes that curl up. I've got an issue with that, obviously, because I've been running on poor shoes. Anyways, a high ankle sprain is next. And a high ankle sprain is involving these small muscles here at the side of the leg. Usually it's outside because you're going to roll if you roll your foot or you roll your ankle, you're rolling this way. And it's going to be the peroneus brevis that is right behind the fibular bone. So you can, if you're watching, please use one hand and touch the lateral malleolus, which is here, the ankle bone on the outside of the leg, and feel the fibula bone up the side of the leg, okay? That muscle that I'm talking about, the brevis muscle, is right behind the bone. And if you apply a little bit of pressure on there, you'll feel how tight that is. That is abnormally tight on some people. And if you have an issue with a high ankle sprain, it's going to be very painful. So what do you do? Okay, you can use the long part of your thumb, okay, and apply it on the muscle, and then simply drop your heel down. Okay, so that what you're doing is you're pinning the muscle, and by dropping the heel down, you're stretching that muscle. Okay, just like that. Certainly you can also use your hook and hook it at the muscle, and then simply swivel your foot. And you'll find that all these muscles underneath your fingers have suddenly become very, very noticeable. They might be very sore, which is usually what it is. But even 5 minutes of work here on this small muscle doesn't need a lot of pressure. But 5 minutes like that will help a lot. So if you know anybody that has a high ankle sprain, like right there, that's really a sore point on my leg there. Okay. So if your fingers get tired, you can always put one hand over the top of it to support that, and then go for it. Just bend and flex back and forth like that. Okay, very, very easy. This is something that anybody can do at home, and it will probably save you several $100s in running to a therapist, that's for sure. Okay, so oftentimes in hockey, you get high ankle sprains, and people are out for weeks and weeks. And if they would only just use some common sense and work that muscle themselves, then it would probably get a lot better. Okay, so up the outside of the leg, you've got here the tibialis anterior muscle, right? It's right up against the tibia, okay? And also in the back here. These ones are really, really terrible muscles. They're vital, but if you've ever suffered from shin splints, Oh my goodness, shin splints. So the common issue with shin splints is that when people are running, they're not rolling off the whole foot properly. They're padding more on the, it could be heel strikers, or they're just coming down on the middle of the foot and then lifting up like that. So even if you're walking around the house, notice how you're walking. Are you rolling off the whole foot when you're, are you rolling off the toe while you're walking, or is it just plodding along like that? If you're plodding along like that, these muscles here in the lower leg are not stretching, they're not moving. And if the muscle is tight and not moving properly, how is it supposed to function? I don't know, you got me, it's not going to function, right? So what to do is you're going to today try it, you know, after this call is done, walk around the house and emphasize the way you're walking. Are you rolling off the whole toe? Try that. It's different. And do it slowly so that you're really emphasizing this, okay? And that is going to stretch out the muscles here on the front of the leg, and you'll feel it, okay? But that's going to probably be a habit that you're going to have to form, and it will actually help in your running as well, because now you're using a little bit more of your whole foot to run with, rather than just coming down on it and then lifting off and going like that, okay? So what to do with the tight muscles? All right, so two things. You got your hook again here, and you're going to bring your leg up and hook in at the tibia bone. You can start really at the top here, okay, right at the side of the bone, and really at the top where it kind of curls around to the outside there is probably going to be the achiest, and it will be like, in probably on some people, like a deep nagging pain, or even something that probably feels closer to death. It's that's the only way I can describe it. It's sometimes just an awful sick feeling. So you hook on that muscle there like this, okay? Take your other hand, put it over top, lean back a little bit so that you're not using any of your shoulder muscles, and then you hang out, and all what you're doing is swiveling and turning the foot. Oh, there, I got an adjustment out of my ankle. Hey, bonus. All right, so that has told me I just got a little adjustment of the ankle here. That means that the work that I've done here on the lower leg has helped, and it's already taken some of the pressure off on my ankle. So the adjustment that I had just felt is probably a tendon snapping over a bony prominence. So if the muscle here on affecting that tendon has been loosened off now, then it's going to easily slide back into place. So very, very good. All right, so again, hook, place it right at the margin of the bone right here, and then hook lay your other hand on top, and again, just work back and forth with your ankle, up, down, wibble the foot side to side, just like that. Work all the way down. You'll probably feel some really, really intense areas, and you'll think, wow, never knew that point was so sore. How come I don't notice that when I'm running? Yeah, well, it's because you've put added pressure on the muscles now, and while they're working, they're under a lot of pressure to work, and this is how you're going to do your self massage. Notice I'm not using my hands here to massage back and forth. I'm using the muscles in my joints here, my actions, to do the massage itself, right? Letting the muscles do the work. You know what they say about work? Work smarter, right? Isn't that how it goes? Huh? Don't work harder, work smarter. Work smarter, not harder. All right. Now, we're going to work with the posterior tibialis muscle, okay? And that's on the other side here, on the inside of the tibial bone, this bone here. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to use your long part of your thumb, not the point, but the long part of your thumb, okay? Long. And you're going to be putting it right against the bone like that, right up from the muscle against the bone, and apply a little bit of pressure on your whole thumb so that you've got good contact with your entire thumb. And what you're going to do is you're going to ride the ankle up and down so that that muscle is working, and it's working against the pressure of your thumb. Okay? Work it, put it up a little bit higher. So you know what you're going to be doing in your next business meetings, eh? When you're on a Zoom call? Oh, yeah, I'm paying attention. Right? Yeah. And while you're working, you're also working on yourself. Very easy. Just back and forth like here. You're letting the muscles do the work. All what you're doing is you're applying the pressure. And that's for the posterior tibialis. And you can do this for at least 5 to 10 minutes. And as a good gauge to know when you've had enough is to see, oh, is it as painful as I started? If it's not as painful as you started, then obviously you're doing well, okay? If it happens to intensify in pain, then best thing to do is leave it alone for a bit, because obviously it's really irritated, and maybe go to another area, a little bit lower. This area here also crucial, important. But right up here, if you go back to it and work that muscle again, you'll think, hey, it's probably not as painful as I first started, but maybe it just needed a little break. And that's how you would work the lower leg muscles, okay? Right here. This point here on me is really, really sore, but that's the way it is. I am currently not training. I'm not in a training cycle, but I'm still running. Not running today because it's really, really wet out. And because I'm not in a training cycle, I decided to be on a Zoom call instead. All right. So training cycles, boy, oh boy. In my training cycle for the Chicago Marathon, I work all day and I come home around probably about 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. And then at 11 o'clock at night, I've got my shoes out on and I'm out the door. That was my summer training. And so my longer runs during the summer didn't end till maybe 3 o'clock in the morning. That's dedication, man. Running at night was so peaceful, so nice. Didn't even come across any really aggressive critters except for some drunken humans, but that's all right. All right, so here in the lower part of the leg here, we've got the extensor digitorum, or the flexor digitorum longus. It comes down from here, goes behind the bone, comes in underneath here, and affects these toes. So they will bring the toes down like that, okay? So if there is an issue with the bottom of the foot, and I had to end my training cycle for the Chicago Marathon a little bit earlier than I thought I would. 3 weeks out before the race, I started to get this burning pain in the bottom of my feet. And I thought, oh man, what did I do now? And so my training cycle also involved a lot of hills. And I thought, well, maybe I'm running too many hills. And so I stopped running entirely, just let it rest and kept walking and thought, all right, okay. And so if I get to Chicago, if I can't run, this is always my credo. If I can't run, I'll walk. And if I can't walk, I'll volunteer. That's it. I'm still going to have that experience of going there, right? So I decided, okay, I'm going to run a 5K Saturday. It was a 5K in Chicago. It was awesome. Did a nice slow run and finished in 28 minutes, which, you know, was okay. No pain, no problem. And then the next day was the marathon, and I woke up, my legs were stiff, and I thought, oh man. So did some massage, some stretching, and then my adrenaline kicked in and I was all good. And the foot pain didn't materialize until about the 35th kilometer. And it's because I was racing for the finish line. I had upped my pace a little bit and it was just too much for muscles that were already a little bit sore. And so I thought, all right, I'm just going to see if I can finish well. And boy, oh boy, did I. And managed to get across the line. My feet were on fire for the last 3 kilometers, but nothing broke. And after I got across the finish line, I started walking again and the foot pain was gone. It was so bizarre. But anyways, that was this small little muscle here at the back here. And it's the same kind of method here. All what you're doing is you're applying pressure with the long part of the thumb down to the medial malleolus, right? And put your hand over on top of it and then just work the foot in circles, back and forth, wiggle it around a little bit. If you don't feel any pain, that's okay. It's a little bit deeper of a muscle anyways, but the pressure on there is going to be enough to cause a change in the fluid situation around that muscle, okay? Now, after about here, it becomes tendinous and goes down to the foot here, and that's okay. Here's where you need to work, okay? And then if it's a plantar fascia thing, then there is where you're going to have to work, right? And so again, just to cover for all the newbies that came in late, is if you've got a little plantar issue, then you're going to start here at the heel, and you're going to put gentle pressure against the tighter muscles, hold for a little while. And if you're going to massage this area, I'd suggest do it in front of the television set so that the half hour runs by really quickly, or if you're on a screen or something like that, then you can do that, okay? So that's plantar muscles, oh man. And if you missed the bunions, then just work the tissues in between the two toes here, and that will allow the muscles here on the inner side of the big toe to loosen off, and then you'll get a little bit more spread of the toes again. All right, okay, so that was tibialis anterior, tibialis posterior, and then of course here, the most important part here is the high ankle sprain, okay? So now we're going to go towards the knee, okay? A lot of people have knee pain. I've suffered from lots of knee pain myself, and oftentimes it's from the area of the hip where it's coming from, okay? And so if you find that your knee is very, very stiff and you're wondering, what can I do about that? Well, you can do a few things. One of the things that I'll do is I will work the knee back and forth like that, just by putting the foot on the ground, taking the pressure off the leg, and then wibbling the knee back and forth. And sometimes I'll get a little bit of a click or an adjustment at the knee, even if when it's really tight, and it'll be just enough to say, oh, there's a release. Well, right now for me it's not, but just take put the foot forward like that, all the pressure on the other leg here, on your back leg, and then just wibble the leg back and forth like that. If you get a little bit of a click or some relief from the lateral pressure here at the knee, then that'll be a bonus. Okay, so what's happening here when that's happening? Okay, you got your knees like this, obviously got your meniscus in there between there, and all that's happening like that is the knees moving back and forth like that. After a while, if you've done training and you're always running with your same way, sometimes what happens is the muscles or the tendons at the side of the knee are going to get a little bit tight, and then you might get this kind of a movement, but you're not going to get that, right? And sometimes the kneecap itself is locked down hard on there, and then you're going to get some grinding going on there, also not so good. But if you can loosen up the knee like that through some little bit of movement, then oftentimes the knee will start to feel a lot better. Okay, so where did all this knowledge come from, eh? Boy, oh boy. Well, I've been running since I was 9 years, or before 9 years old, and my track coach at the time, he found out that I was running home from school, which was way over in East Van near Boundary, and I was living on the west side. And so he says, Tillman, you're doing what? You're running 10 kilometers 3 times a week? I say, yeah, I'm running home from school so I can save bus fare for allowance. At that time, I didn't have allowance, and so did that. But so since then, I've been running, and since then, I've had achy legs and all sorts of things. Oh boy, I could get into a lot of things. Maybe I'll get into some more. Okay, so let's go up on the side of the leg here. Okay, so here we go. This here is the iliotibial band. It's a band, a fibrous band, and it goes here on the side of the knee, right there. Okay, what else does attach there? Well, you have here the muscles of the lower leg that also attach there. And then you have here the hamstring muscle. Oh my goodness, and it attaches also at the side of the knee here. So you can have the trifecta of problemos right at the outside of the knee here, and you have to identify where and what is happening there. Okay, so it's not enough to just work the outside of the knee here. Yes, of course, you can sit there with your leg on the couch and work the kneecap back and forth. That is also helpful, but more helpful would be pushing down on the kneecap and then riding up on the kneecap like that, back and forth like that. Okay, and that's going to free up the kneecap. Okay, just back and forth like this. So the web of the hand above, web of the hand below, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Try that. If it's not working as well, or if it's painful for you, then obviously you have an issue there. So then you can try to press the kneecap to the sides, and that will help loosen it off. And before you know it, you'll be working around like, well, like a stick shift, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, and that will help mobilize the kneecap up a little bit. Very, very important that that happens. Certainly, you've got tight muscles here on the thigh, which are also going to be affected, like the vastus lateralis. The lateralis here comes down at the side and attaches here on the knee as well. You can see that it comes down all the way there like that. Muscular, maybe a little bit. I've lost a lot since I ran the marathon, but I'm hoping to run another one in the spring. Yeah, so we'll see. I've put my name in a couple of draws, and if I don't get picked for a draw, then I'll have to pay my entry in. Okay, so let's work this part of the body here, the upper thigh. Okay, now this part here is right behind the iliotibial band, is going to be a crucial area for you to explore with your fingers. So you're going to hook in underneath the iliotibial band like that, and then ride up a little bit, and then stretch and flex your leg. So you're going to extend your leg and flex. Hold a little bit again on the side and extend the leg and flex. Yeah. All what you're doing here is you're pinning the muscle and then using your own effort to stretch that muscle out. That's all it is. And yes, this is a self-massage technique, believe it or not. And it is so helpful. Oh my goodness. You know, I can work on my body a lot. Every place where I can reach with my hands, my feet, my lower legs, my hips, my lower back, my shoulder, my neck. Oh my goodness. This week, we're just going to go into the lower leg. Maybe some other time I'll get to you in the shoulder and arm or the neck. Oh my goodness, things you could learn. All right, so back to this. Hook with your fingertips. Both hands together. If you need to cross your thumbs in the back here for stability, fine, do it. If you don't want to, fine. That's up to you. Okay, now all what you're doing is you're pinning this muscle and then moving the leg. Now, you might find, if you dig deep enough, you'll find some muscle fibers that are absolutely excruciating in a good way, because you're going to be stretching these muscles out. And they are probably the ones that are causing a lot of the tension here at the side of the leg. Okay, so all the way up on the side, not on the band, underneath. So you're actually hooking at the side like this. Okay, all the way up. It's not enough to not move the leg. You have to move the leg. Yes, it's going to be a lot more painful if you move the leg, but you have to move the leg. Back and forth like that. Now, if sitting is too much of an effort for you, then lie yourself on your bed and do that. Yeah, it's easy enough to do. If you're in bed and you can't sleep, you might as well be doing some stretches. Okay, so that's the side here. We've still got to cover the fronts here, but I want to show the back of the leg here. Oh, the hamstring muscle. Same deal. You're going to hook your fingers, you make hooks here like this, and you're going to hook at these muscles here. You can go, oh, this is the gluteal muscle right here. And a lot of people miss this lower part of the gluteal muscle there. You know, it attaches into the iliotibial band on the side. And a lot of people miss that one. And so what you're going to do is you're going to hook at the side of your bum and then extend the leg and bring the knee up. And by hooking and by pinning this part of the gluteal muscle, you're going to probably feel that's very sensitive. And if that is the case, yeah, sure. But if you're also running, if you're training and running and it's tight buttock muscles that you're complaining about, then look at to where the muscles are that are tight. So if it happens to be the outside of the gluteal muscle, hook in at the outside of the gluteal muscle, you'll feel it, you know, make the muscle loose first, go to where the hip bone is, and just off the side of the hip bone there, right at the bend of the leg where the butt turns into the leg, just on the side there, you'll feel the side of the gluteal muscle. And all what you do is go back and forth like this. Hook and move the leg. Oh man. Okay. Very, very easy. And none of this information you're going to keep because you're going to share all this information with all your friends, right? Okay. That's my only request. Share this. There's so many people that are in pain. Seriously. Okay, so again, this is part of the biceps femoris. You've got your, what is it? The semimembranosus and the semitendinosus. The semitendinosus muscle is on the inner side of the leg. The outer side, it's a stabilizer, yes. The iliotibial band is also a stabilizer, but it's also fibrous on the outside. So you got two fibrous types of muscles. On the inside of that, you've got a muscle that is more membranous. And membranous means that it's your primary function muscle. It's going to be more moving, right? If it moves, if it doesn't move, it's kind of useless. And because it's not moving, it's probably not doing the the contraction and stretch that normal muscles do. And so you can see that a lot with runners. If they can't bring their heel up as much, okay, then you're seeing, okay, that person's got tight hamstrings. That person's probably got lower back pain. That's all fine. But is it? It's not, right? So here we go. Same kind of thing. Hook both fingers together. And what you're going to do here is apply them at the muscles in the back of the leg, and then you're just going to extend the leg, just like that. You're hooking and stretching. That's a self-massage technique. Works very, very well. Sure, there are great stretches to do for the hamstring muscles. Oh my goodness. I'm going to show you something here. You don't want to use your fingers. How about a foam roller? Okay, so you got one of these. If you don't have one of these, maybe a smaller one for traveling. I always take this one along. So let's say if your bag is full of other things, fine. When you get to your destination, buy a soda bottle. And that is there's that foam roller. You can put it on the surface like that and roll back and forth like that. Hamstring. Oh my goodness. How many of you have ever seen a hamstring being rolled out like this? How about an adductor muscle? Huh? I'm going to change this because it's making a lot of noise. Let's go with the purple one or blue. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm sitting right on the foam roller, okay, and then rolling right off. Get that tendinous attachment right at your sit bone, and you can use the furniture to stabilize yourself. What's the difference here? You certainly can roll it on the floor if you can get on the floor, but here you've got your body weight right on top of the muscle. And that's the difference, because on the floor, you're not going to get that, right? You're not going to be able to shift your angles either. So, hey, show people how to roll their hamstrings on a foam roller. Okay, back and forth like that. Okay. And nobody knows how to roll this way. All right. Okay, and then do the adductor muscles. You can lean right in over like that. Right into the adductor muscles here. I guarantee you, none of you have seen that before. Okay, so there's other things that you can roll as well. Certainly you can, if you're lying on the floor, then, and you want to do your hamstrings, what I would suggest you did, if these were your feet, right? If these were your feet, then just roll back and forth, wibble your legs back and forth. If they happen to be your hamstrings, then you're going to be, let's see, let me do this. Wibble your legs back and forth like that, windshield wiper wise. Okay, it's wet and rainy out today. Let's call it windshield wipers. Back and forth like that on the ground, okay? But it's not as straight as if you were going to put your hamstring on the roller and roll them out like this, okay? Perfecto. Okay. You probably even go for the bum as well. So when you're rolling on the foam roller and it's the bum involved, you can change the angle around the hip bone. Okay, you're lying on the ground here. You can position the roller so that it is behind, then position it so that it is on an angle posteriorly. How about above? Through the front as well. All these muscles all around the hip bone are going to be muscles that are also going to be quite tight through working with through running and whatever else you're doing. All right, so a couple of things with that is through the front of the leg here. Okay, you can get yourself with your leg extended, and you can bring your knee up and then stretch down. What I'm looking for here is the actual curve in the muscle here. So if you're sitting, just palpate down in through the front of the hip here, and you'll feel a partition in the muscle, okay? Where you've got here the tensor fasciae lata, which is about this long, and then gluteus minimus as well underneath there. But we want you to go inside of those, okay? So on the inside of that, and then all what you're doing is you're moving the hip back and forth around here like this. Now what I've discovered is that when I'm doing this, and if I've got a piriformis muscle in the back that's really sore, then if I do this in the front here, that takes the pressure off the piriformis in the back. And I thought, oh my goodness, how is this working? How is this even possible? Because I'm not even working on these muscles, right? So it's in the front. And I think it's got to do with these muscles in the front being all tight, and then the ones in the back, they're all stretched. And so they're trying to get back to being in a normal position, but you've gotten them out to here, and now you've got the brilliant idea to go for a run. Oh yes, let's go for a run. Stretch, 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 even more stretching, right? Not so great. So if you take some of the pressure off the front of the muscles, then the muscles in the back will probably be able to realign themselves to where they normally would rest. So that's a little notice there. I guess if you wanted to see it as tent poles, if you got, or strings on a tent pole, if one side is all tight, then you're going to have a tent that's going to be all locked down like this. So you have to loosen that off, and then you got to balance. What do they say? Balance is health. Quote that. All right. So now we got to go up into the hip area here and the lower back. Hey, if you've got hamstring aches, then guess what? It's usually going to be your lower back that's affected too. How many people have lower back issues? Oh my God, almost everybody, right? So some people will see or think, all right, okay, I got one right there. I can point to it. And guess what? I'm sure that all of you can point to exactly where your back is sore too. It's probably the SI joint, the sacroiliac joint. That's usually what it is. Or sometimes it's lower back issues that might be tethering on that joint. So how do we fix that? Okay, so there's one great little stretch that you can do. And I'm also going to give you a technique as well. Okay, so if you're sitting, it's time to stand up now. Move this in a little bit here. Okay, so I've got a table here, and what I'm going to get you to do is just put your forearms here on, or your hands on a table here, and let's say for example, it's this side that's sore. Okay, right in the sacroiliac joint. Okay. What I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to get you to bend the knee up like this, and then forcefully extend the leg back like that without hitting the ground. No whip kicks or nothing like that. Just straight down like that. Okay, straight line so that it's in a line with your back all the way down like that. And that's going to give you enough of a jolt at the SI joint to unlock it. Okay, very simple. Now, if you're confused as to which side, no matter, do the other side as well. And if you do get the sound of an adjustment, then that was a bonus release for you. Okay, that's a good technique. Please show it to other people. There's another stretch here for the side of the lower back as well that I'm going to show you. And again, please show other people. Don't keep this knowledge for yourself. Okay, now what you're going to do here, this one's called a table stretch. Very easy. Everybody's got a table. Everybody's got a countertop. Everybody's got a hood of a car. Okay, watch this. So you're going to put your forearms down on the table, just like this. Okay, now keeping your feet parallel, what I'm going to get you to do is turn your feet to the side. So they're like this, not like that, but both in line like this, okay? Now, the knee that's closest to the table here, what you're going to do is you're going to bend in on that knee, okay? The other leg, the outer leg, is going to be straight. And what you're going to do to amplify this stretch is you're going to extend that arm out on the same side. So you're getting a latissimus dorsi stretch, but you're also going to feel it in the bum, and you'll feel it in the hamstring. Simple, okay? So again, recover that. Have you all doing it? I don't see a lot of people moving around here. This one right there, what's she doing? Sitting there gawking. Okay, so put your arms down on the table here like this. Feet in line, and then move them out to the side, same way like this, so they're together, and then bend in on the front knee, closest to the table, keep the other leg straight, and extend the arm on the straight leg side, okay? Like that. And you'll feel a good, juicy stretch down the hip and in through the bum. You hold that for a little bit, and then of course do the other side as well. That is an awesome stretch that I'd like you to show other people, especially women with child. If they're pregnant, you know, and their back's all tight, then this is an excellent stretch to show them, because baby's hanging out of the way and they're able to stretch the back and the legs. How brilliant is that? Okay, so there's one other technique here that I have to show you. It's amazing. And actually two. So there's this thumbnail. This thumbnail is going to be your #1 tool. And so if you've got a lot of nagging, aching back pain here, take the thumbnail and just glide it gently down through the hip and bum. From as high as you can get in the lower back, glide down through the bum. Okay, from backside here, all the way down like that. And cover, and do the other way too, like this. Okay, that's a nerve technique. Okay, and what that is doing is that gentle pressure. You'll probably feel it. It feels like goosies on your lower back, and you're thinking, "Oh my goodness!" But the nerves, the sensory nerves, are picking that up, and they're saying, "Whoa, we need to change that tension," and they will. So it's all what you're doing is bringing attention to the area that is really, really tight by using your thumbnail. You know? Just glide it back down like that, and guess what? Your brain will register that those muscles are tight there, and it'll send signals down to those muscles and say, "Oh, whoa, wait, too much tension." Okay, relax, and guess what? Within 2 or 3 minutes, you'll think, "Hey, well, that pain is gone," right? So simple. So we've got a table here. I'm going to show you a great stretch for the quads, okay? Certainly when you're rolling, the foam roller is an awesome tool to use for the quads, but you have to start on the quads, the lower part, and then roll all the way up to your belly button, because that's usually the height of where the hips are. And so the quads go all the way up to the top. If you're only rolling down to here, you're not covering it all. It's not going to work for you. So you have to roll the whole entire muscle. So you start here on the roller, go all the way up. And if it's too sensitive, if your privates are getting in the way and it's sensitive there, go on the side and roll all the way up to the top of the hip, and then all the way on the back like this, okay? So I'm sure some of you have rolled on the foam roller before, and it's painful. Yes, it can be painful, but it is so worth it. So these stretches that I'm going to show you now, oh my goodness, I'm almost here. Watch this, 2 left, eh? So, okay, so you're in bed, right? You're in bed and you're waiting for your run to start or whatever in the morning. Okay, so you've got one arm in behind and one in front like that, and you've got this arm that's bent, this knee that's bent, Okay, and so what's happening here is you're getting a stretch on the psoas muscle. The psoas muscle is an inner one that runs down into the crotch here in the front, okay? And oftentimes with a lot of people, it's going to be tight because what do you do all day? Mostly sit, right? So you need to stretch that out. So you get on your bed, on your tummy, okay? One arm behind, one in front, and you're just hanging out there like this. And the stretch is going to be on the long leg, not on the short leg, on the long leg. So after about 10 minutes, then you switch around to the other side. Okay, leg out, arm out, flip over. And now I'm getting a stretch here on this side, right in through there. Now, the psoas muscle is a small muscle. It does not like to get stretched a lot. It's going to be painful, but so don't overdo it. Gentle stretches are important for this muscle because guess what? After sitting all day, it's going to be tightened up. And where do you notice it? In your lower back. Now, the quad stretch that I want to show you. Okay? You grab the back of your ankle and you're just hanging out there like that. Okay? If it's too much for you, then put a towel around or a t-shirt around and hang on to the t-shirt if that's too much pressure for your quad. Okay, and hang out there. How long? I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And what will happen is all this tension here that you've got in your quad will melt away. Simple as that. Okay, do the other leg same way. Watch TV, do it on the floor. I don't care where you do it, but do it, right? Now, iliotibial band stretch, one of my favorites. There's many ways to stretch the iliotibial band. I'm sure that you've all done that in high school and wherever else, but there's one really interesting way to do this, and that is to hang the leg off the back of the bed. So when you're in your bed, lay down and then move your leg off to the side and hang it down like that. So that's hanging off the side of the bed. Now what you're doing is you're getting a stretch here through this part of the gluteal muscle. If you want to extend your arms up like that, that's fine too. You get it more into the lower back there. What I like about this stretch here is all the other muscles are not functioning. So the emphasis on the stretch is directly on that muscle structure, the tensor fasciae lata, gluteus medius, minimus, all these muscles that are attaching onto the iliotibial band. Whereas other ones where you're standing there up against the wall and bending, let's say, over this way, you've got all these muscles here on your body that are all tightened up. Yeah, sure, you're going to get a stretch on the iliotibial band, but all the other muscles are functioning too. So get yourself on a flat surface here where your other muscles are not firing, and you'll get a good decent stretch on the muscle that you're actually wanting to target. Okay, so are there any questions? What I would like to do now is two things. You've got a few people here that are in there. I've asked the host to do a draw for a prize, and then I'd like to open it up for questions. Okay, if you don't have any questions, I've got a lot of questions that you don't have any questions about. Okay, so I'll fill it in if you can't fill it in. Just gonna move the table out of the sink right here.
Perfect. Thank you, Tillman. That's awesome. So yeah, like Tillman mentioned, so today who's attending will be part of a draw that I'm gonna do randomly here. So I'm just gonna quickly share the screen with you. So this way we can see. Hopefully everybody can see my screen. I'm just, there we go. Awesome. So I'm just
Oh,
gonna click the screen
look at this.
and click to spin. That's what I'm trying to do. Um, Very odd. I don't know why that is not working right now. Okay, hold on. Just having a little bit technical difficulties here, so I reloaded. So Tillman, before I just get this, one of my questions for you, just to start off and open it, and if anybody has questions, make sure you raise your hand and we'll go through it quickly. Um, basically, you were starting off with the massaging of your foot. With the massaging of a foot, you were mentioning, do you really want to start massaging it from like your bottom of the sole up to your toes, or do you start from like your toes to the sole? Like, what is the actual recommendation for that?
The most success that I've had in my practice working with other people is when they start with the heel first. So if you're going to start here at the bottom of the foot and work upwards to the top, this is where the muscle originates from. This is where it inserts into the toes. This is all tendinous area here. This is where the bulk of the muscle is. So you start at the heel, okay? Like that, okay? Now, if you can't get down to the heel, what now? Brown cow, you get yourself one of these things, right? As it's got a long handle. I'm a fan of the long handled ones, and then you can put it down there on the ball on the bottom of the foot here. This one I like because the motor is strong and the switch is also not one that's going to break right away. Okay, if anybody's interested, it's $80 at London Drugs. Okay, and it comes with two other little bulbs which are smooth, and I'd highly recommend changing them out for the smoothies. They just turn and flip on. There you go. Bob's your uncle. You can use that on your back, neck, anything. Okay, so I should be hired by those people to sell those things. I give so many away. Anyways, here, let's go back here. You know what you're doing is you're starting here on the bottom of the foot. Recap, make a hook, and then use your fingers. Gentle pressure. You don't need to use a lot of pressure here, right? If you feel an area that is really, really sensitive, hang out there for a little bit. Stop doing it and just hang out and, you know, savor and marinate in that sensation until it goes away. Okay. And then you can move on to the next area. And if you find another area that's really, really sensitive, hang out there for a bit and let your fingers do the talking with you. And you can adjust the amount of pressure that is comfortable to you, and that will work really, really well. Just like that.
Awesome.
Okay.
That's good to know. So you don't want to put, do you find usually the foot is the most tense and you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it? You want to ease into it basically? Because that's what I'm trying to understand is like, you know, when you're putting that pressure, would that pressure sort of align to those other muscles? Or is that just sort of easing it a little bit, easing the muscle tone to it?
What you have to understand here is this is a lever, okay? And so for everything to be working good on the leg here, this lever needs to work properly, okay? That means that the muscles here on the bottom of the foot needs to be loose so that it isn't anchoring this lever. If it happens to be anchoring this lever, and there's many things that can do that. You can get a bone here in the foot that is sometimes even the talus, the top part of the bone here in the foot, the calcaneal joint might be blocked or not moving properly. And if you find that is an issue, then please go to a chiropractor and get that adjusted before you start to loosen it up and start to run on it. Because guess what happens if you don't do that? Any guesses? Well, how about an Achilles tear? Huh? Ouchie wow wow. Huh? I've had that. Oh yeah, I did an ultra Spartan race up at Sun Peaks, 50 kilometers up and down the ski hills, and I was sore for a week. Couldn't even walk properly, right? So after 2 weeks, I decided, oh, I'm just gonna go for a little 10K run, not a problem. On my way home, I just heard a little like that. And I thought, oh, what the heck's that? And it was a central full thickness tear of my Achilles right at the insertion point, right there at the bottom, right? And so there's a couple of ways to have that repaired. Mine was inoperable. And so I ended up going for an MRI, paid privately for it because, you know, the people at the sport med place that I went to, the doctor, she says, Tillman, I know exactly what you have. And I thought, great, because I want to know if it's an Achilles tear or if it's a muscle tear, because the rehab for them are completely different. Okay. And she says, yeah, what you have? And I say, yeah, please let me know what I have. She says, Tillman, you've got old man muscles. Deadpan. I thought, brilliant. At least I'm not the only gong show here in Vancouver giving out hilarious advice to people, you know? So from one gong show to another, I thought, okay, I'm going to get my family doc to give me an MRI. A referral. She didn't want to give it. And so she just said, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. And yes, the Achilles tendon is a tendon that will want to heal itself, but it is not very vascular. Okay, so it's fibrous. And yeah, sure, if it's a complete tear, and if it is operable, then sometimes if you go online, you can get some, I think it's called a fast bridge. And so what they'll do is they will take the stumps of the torn Achilles and approximate them and sew them up together like that. And that's called the fast bridge. And because the areas that are torn are more, well, supposedly a little bit more vascularized because it's torn there, it might tend to heal a little bit better. I wasn't convinced. And I went for a PRP injection, was put in a boot for a week, and then was able to run again in a month. And this was so I blew out my tendon in October of 2015 and had my repair in December of 2015, was off until February, and I was already scheduled to run the Boston Marathon in April of 2016, and I went and lined up for that race and ran it. That's only 4 months after an Achilles repair, right? So it can be done. Achilles tendon tear is not a death knell. It's not over. You can get back to where you are, and I'm still running. Whatever. So
That's
the
awesome.
lever here needs to work. And if it's not working, then you're going to risk damage, right? So pay attention to the foot. It's crucial, okay? If you go over on your heel, roll it or something like that, watch out for pine cones and potholes that are filled with water now. Then these muscles here on the outside of the leg, okay? You're going to put your thumb on it like this, and then you're going to go back and forth here like that, okay? So that you're taking the tension off those muscles. What is that muscle? That's the peroneus brevis. There's longus here as well as extensor tendon muscles. You can feel them if you put your hands over top and you move your feet around. You can feel what those muscles are doing, what part that's actually working. Okay, lower leg muscles. Just to recap, you're going to put the hook here right against on the inside of the bone. It's going to be painful, you bet. You're going to put your other hand over it to put a little bit of pressure, and then again up and down with the foot so that you can take that muscle into its movements, and then you'll be fine with that. What did I say about walking? Now you're going to practice. Heel strike, roll off the whole toe while you're walking, okay? And so that's going to help stretch those muscles of the lower leg. Very, very important, Okay, you might think, oh man, I haven't stretched those muscles in years. And guess what? That's a good notice. All right,
Mhm.
any other
Yeah.
questions?
Sorry to interrupt. Sorry to interrupt, Tillman, but Leslie has a just waving her hand. She has a question. Go ahead,
Yes.
Leslie.
Yeah. Um, so you talked about the proneus, but you didn't mention the gastroc or the soleus and
Mm,
how to stretch those. I find those are almost always tight for me.
always tight. Yeah, how about that? Okay, so the calf muscle is one that is very tight on a lot of people. Is it more the inside or the outside that is tight on you?
Oh, good question. I'd say probably that the inside.
Okay, so
Yeah.
the inside crosses the knee. Okay, they both the calves, the attachment here, the gastroc goes behind the knee. Okay, so in this case, what I'd like you to do is put your thumb up against or right into the pit of the knee here, and then roll your foot back and forth here like that. Circle, circle. Okay, and you'll probably be able to feel those muscles moving underneath your thumb. So again, it's not the point. You're using the whole entire thumb. Okay. All what you're trying to do is put pressure on those muscles. If you need to put your leg over your other one, then do that, and then just cycle the foot around like that. Okay. And you'll find that that will be enough pressure to undo those tight muscles. Certainly you can roll them out with a foam roller too if you wanted to. You know,
That doesn't seem to do anything for
doesn't
me.
seem to be. Okay, so there's other areas here that you can work on. You can take your hook again here with your fingers and put them in on the inner side of the point here at the knee. Oh, there's one other area that I wanted to talk to you about too. Okay, and then extend the leg out like that. And you'll find that sometimes it just might be stuck in behind the kneecap there or behind the knee as well. So,
Tillman, I have one quick question. You mentioned about foam rollers. So Camille has mentioned in her comments, is there like is what is better through like a smooth foam roller or those ones that have like those edges on? Is there like a
yeah,
certain mentality to a muscle to an injury of what strength and hardness to use for those types of things if you're rolling out?
okay. So Christmas is approaching. A blue one would be the one to get, okay? Not the black one. The black one is very, very hard. And I've just found that the blue one is a lot better for me. Okay. The black one, sure, I'll use it, but I don't have it. And I find that the white one is too soft. Okay. Too soft for my liking. And again, it's going to be exactly what your liking is.
Hmm.
One thing that I don't really like is the ones with the knobs on them. Yes, for some people who are a little bit more muscular, who are wanting to have that extra effect of getting in deep into the muscle. Okay, so what's your body type? Is it very thick? Are you going to want that? No, but here, this is the travel roller that I have. It's smooth, okay? It's got some profiles in there. I don't know why they put that in there, but other than maybe to take some volume off of it so it makes it even lighter. It's squishy foam in a hard coil, and I can jam all sorts of gear inside that, right? And it works amazingly. Okay, so I'm a fan of the smooth rollers rather than the knobby rollers. But that's just me. Okay, you will have to decide which works for you. Okay, so if you're in the store, try it out in the store. Put it down on the floor. Don't be shy. Get yourself down on the roller and just try it, right on the floor. And if an attendant comes around and says, excuse me, what are you doing? Say, well, do you have a change room that I can do this? No, it's right on the floor, Okay, whatever, you know.
No, fair enough. No, that's good
Yeah,
to know because everybody's always wondering what's the best, and it's sort of like the same thing with shoe. It's like if the shoe fits and it feels comfortable for you, then start doing it that way.
yeah. Same with pillows, same deal. So
Pillows.
back to shoes though. Here we've got the issue with Brooks. Brooks Ghost is one that I like because the toe box is nice and wide for me. Then they went and changed it into a trail shoe. So if your shoe brand starts to change up the whole shoe, makes it a little bit more bulky and heavy. So even it's the same width as the other one here, but I started running in these ones and I got a blister on my toe on the inside because the toe box is a little bit narrower in through the toe. I was like, what the heck here? So if you're having issues with the shoe, okay, try loosening the laces, okay? That will widen the shoe up, okay? A lot of people really cinch down on the laces thinking that their shoe might fall off. You've got bigger problems, okay? If your shoe is causing the pressure on your foot, that's bad. Okay, on a rainy day like today, if you're running in the rain, you know, it is quite common that if you're running, that the insole may actually be so soaked it'll actually slip out of your shoe, you know. Yeah, well, that happens. Okay,
Mhm.
fine. You stop and put it back in. That's simple as that. So check the laces, loosen off the laces. That's my best advice for the shoes. Is first, if the shoe doesn't fit properly or thinking it's too tight, loosen off the laces. Okay, and walk around in them or do a easy run in laces that are a little bit looser, and you're going to think, wow, that changed the whole thing of my foot in my shoe. Okay, any other
It's good to
questions?
know. That's awesome.
Come
Before
on.
we pass it on to Leslie, I'm just gonna share the giveaway here. So,
Okay,
just loading that sharing screen for everybody. So I'm just gonna give a quick spin here.
prizes, prizes, prizes.
Oh, it's a close one. So it looks like Veronica, congratulations. You have been the winner of the gift card. I will send that information over towards you. So congratulations on that. Thank you, Tillman, for donating that. That is awesome. Really appreciate that. I would start off with Leslie and then I'm going to go over to Camille. So Leslie, what's your question?
Do you have any pointers on rolling the foot on balls, like different sizes and hardnesses of balls?
Okay, so um, there's uh, there's a great roller that you can use. There's balls as well. My issue with them is that you're not going to get as specific in there. With your fingers are going to work better, okay, and you'll be able to use that tool all the time because you've always got it with you. Okay, if you're using a ball, fine. Part of the you can even use the side of a roller if you wanted to, by putting the roller down on a surface like that and then rolling the foot sideways like that, or even like this. It's not as focused as I'd like it to be. Okay, so even
Tillman, is it because there's so many tendons and muscles underneath that it's just easier than using your fingers? And like I have a ball right here that has the spikes. It just sort of sits. It's not really grasping those tendons to releases.
it's not
Would you
going
say
in there,
that, per se?
not doing the work.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, it's going to do surface work, which is great if that's what you want to do. But if you really want to beat this stuff and get better, then you're going to have to get in there with your fingers. And so if you're on a next conference call for work or something like that, or a board meeting, pop off your shoe. And if somebody says, "What are you doing?" then you tell them exactly what you are doing and tell them to pop off their shoe, because this knowledge is going to be life changing. It's going to be transformative for them. And then you ask them to share it with other people too, because they'd be doing themselves a disfavor if they hang on to it for themselves. Okay. Just like me. What am I going to do with all this knowledge? Really? Huh? Give it away. So if I could help one or two people, have a beautiful run or a successful PR and feel good about after their race. Oh, shoot, man. Do you have 2 minutes? I got to share something here.
Yeah.
I met this food scientist once, and he said, Tillman, you run a lot, right? And he asked, so how sore are your muscles afterwards? And I said, oh, they're brutal afterwards. Every run is brutal. And he said, huh, do you drink coffee? And he said, and I said, yes, I love coffee. Oh, I go around and find, the roasted things. I want the medium roast so I can see the actual oil on the coffee cup, the bean sheen. I gotta have the bean sheen, right? And he says, Tillman, I want you to try and stop coffee for a while and just see what happens. And then he told me a story. He says, the caffeine molecule changes its molecular structure through the roasting process. This only happens with the coffee bean, okay? You get caffeine in chocolate, which is dried, and in tea, which is dried, but it doesn't go through the same molecular change. It gloms onto your skin cell or your muscle cell and stays on there. And now your muscle's going, oh God, off, 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 get her off, get her off, get her off. And guess what? Your muscle is getting fatigued, right? It's spinning out all this sugar trying to get rid of it. And guess what happens to you? You've got this beautiful high, full of life. And then afterwards, your world comes crashing down because your body's getting tired of this coffee and sitting there, oh my God. And then you think, I think I need a second cup. Yes, second cup, down the hatch. So, at one point in time, I was up to 14 cups a day, right? And sure, I was drinking so much, my armpits were going caramel, right? But anyway, that's a different story. So I just want to let you know that if you're drinking coffee, try to do without it for a while, okay? How long does it take for this caffeine molecule to get rid of, off your skin cell or off your muscle cell? 6 weeks.
Wow.
6 weeks. So if you want to do a scientific experiment upon yourself, try going without coffee for 6 weeks. And then also take, document the changes in your body. What do you feel? Are your muscles feeling better all of a sudden? Why are they feeling better? You haven't done anything. You've just cut coffee out. What the heck happened here? So for me, I thought, well, I can't believe it. So if that's what was causing all the muscle pain in my body, I said goodbye to coffee. Even the the little chocolates that have coffee in there and the little candy bars that have coffee in there, forget it. Don't want it. I'll drink tea or water. You don't see animals drinking coffee, do you?
I was just gonna say this holiday season, people are gonna put Baileys in their coffee pretty soon. So
Yeah, Tim Horton already offers non-alcoholic Bailey's coffee, right? Oh man.
yeah,
All that you
fair.
want to sell that
That's
stuff.
good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we most definitely will look into that because that is a very interesting knowledge with nutrition that we do as well. So that's really good to bring up, Tillman. Camille, you have a question for Tillman. I'll let you have the floor there, and I'll say that would be our last questions for the day. So Camille, feel free to ask any questions.
Yeah, so I don't have my video on because it just cuts out my
It's all right.
connection. Anyways, my question is my son, his heel hurts. And he went to the doctor and the doctor said, okay, it just takes time to heal. And it's been like 2 weeks. He's a runner, he plays soccer, and I'm not really sure, like, is there a massage for that? So I mean, he's found that he just has to run on his tippy toes. So he doesn't press on his heel to
His stupid toes. Okay, so what he's probably got is he's probably compressed his heel or the fat pad over the heel bone, or where the calcaneus is a bone in the foot, and it has a point here. If you've ever heard of heel spurs, this is where the heel spurs like to grow along the the fascia of the plantar muscle. They will grow down, but they'll also grow long ways like that along the actual muscle fibers. What the spurs are trying to do is they're trying to stabilize the muscle if it's too tight there. That's the way the body decides it's going to repair itself. The heel pad, the fat pad underneath the heel, is also an area that you can treat yourself. Okay, and you're going to have to cup your heel pad and pull it downwards like that. So you're distracting the actual heel away from the actual bony point like that, right? That's called decompression, okay? And you're going to have to pinch it together and or compress and pull downwards like that, okay? Very easy to do that. Are you seeing me? Are you able to see this?
Yeah, I can see it. Thank you. Yeah, I'll get him to
Okay.
try.
That's the probably the most effective thing that he can do. He's in school, is he?
Yeah, he's 17.
Okay, so while in class, get him to pop his shoe off, and do that while the teacher's lecturing. You know,
All right.
let
So
him do that. Give him some homework to do, and tell him it's from me, right? Tillman gave you some homework to do. This is what he recommended for your foot. Okay, it will help a lot.
so
It's
like
Camila, do you have anything to ask off
hang
of
on,
that?
just one more thing on that. Is he walking around barefoot at home?
mm, yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Okay.
He is.
Okay, if he is, then put some flip-flops in, or some slides, and have him walk around the house and those things, right? So that he's not pounding on the the tiles or your floor with his heels. Is he running around like an elephant?
I don't think so.
Okay, because that pounding on your heels like that will also irritate the hell out of your fat pad. So
Right.
just decompression, that would be very, very good for him to do. Walk around in slides so that he doesn't irritate the fat pad, and it's not going to be solved in 1 or 2 days. It may take a couple of weeks, probably. I'd say about 2 weeks for sure. And if he can practice rolling off his foot like that, if he is more of a heel striker, then that's going to also create a lot of pressure on the heel. So if he is a heel striker, get him to roll off the whole foot, even the toe, right? The tippy toe, right? And that will help a lot. Okay, that's all I got.
Thanks, Tillman. Appreciate
Last
that.
question?
Any questions at last? No, I think that's it. If they have any further questions, Tillman, it's all right if I forward along your email or just a way to contact you, or
Sure.
yeah.
And this whole thing is recorded, so please go back and view it. It's a long one. It's already almost 8:30, and I have to be at GF Strong at 8:30 to work on a client.
Fair enough. Well,
Yeah,
thank you, Tillman. We really appreciate you giving all of this insight here. We really, really appreciate it, and hopefully we see you in the new year. So, yeah, like I said, this recording is just going to end right now. And that being said,